All right, so remember in lesson 12, we were talking about the exterior angle. And the exterior angle of a triangle occurs when we extend one of the sides and it creates an exterior angle on the outside. What we just worked on though was that we can find the measure of that exterior angle by the sum of the two remote interior angles. So that's what we're practicing now. Now it says here, write and solve an equation to find the value of x. And we have these numbers right here. I'm not going to stress so much about that, but it's kind of handy. You can see that sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative. The angles cannot be negative, but your values of x can. Okay? All right, number one. First of all, we need to identify our exterior angle. And our exterior angle occurs when we extend the side. So the angle we're talking about here is the one outside of our triangle. Now remember, the exterior angle equals the sum of the two remote interior angles. And again, you're going to run into ones that give you numbers here. Think about it. This shares a side with this. So this is not the remote interior. It's the adjacent interior. These two here are the remote interiors. So the sum of those, 2x plus 70. Okay? Now we have a variable here, so we just have to solve. I'm going to get rid of 2x by subtracting 2x from each side. That leaves me with 2x plus 10 equals 70. Now, solve this equation by subtracting 10 from each side. Kind of running out of room here, sorry. I have to write smaller. We get 2x equals 60. That's 10 there. And then divide both sides by 2. And we get x equals 30 divided by 2. I'm sorry, 60 divided by 2, which is 30. All right, so we know x equals 30. Now let's talk about this angle right here, REC. This E right here is in the middle, and that's important. If you find the R, you find the E, you find the C, we're talking about this angle, okay? So we're going to go 4 times whatever x is, in this case 30, plus 10. Well, 4 times 30 is 120, plus 10, this angle is going to be 130 degrees, okay? Let's look at another example. Okay, we find our exterior angle, it's the one on the outside, and our exterior angle has to be equal to the sum of the remote interior. So if I have 3 interior angles, 2 of them aren't touching it. We add those together, and we solve an equation. So all the algebra work we've done in the past come back into play. So if x is on both sides, you have to get rid of them on one side. I'm going to choose to get rid of the 12x. I'm going to subtract it from one side. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other. If you have 24x's and you take away 12x's, you have 12x plus 9 equals 81, and you make sure those are opposites and cancel out. Now again, I'm still solving for x, so I have to get rid of the 9. It's a positive 9 or it's plus 9, so I do the opposite, I subtract 9, and I'm left with 12x equals, 81 minus 9 is 72, I believe. Okay, now this is 12 times x. I undo multiplying with division. I'm going to turn my calculator on, and I'm going to take 72 and divide it by 12. And I get x is equal to 6. Okay? Now, we want to find the measure of TSU. That's this 12x right here. So again, be careful. Don't just always assume what angle you're going to be solving for. This is going to be 12 times 6, 12 times whatever our x value is, and 12 times 6 is 60. 72. Sorry, it's 72 degrees. 12 times 5 is 60. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Again, exterior angle, 3x plus 13. That has to equal the two interior angles that don't touch it, 39 and 2x plus 1. Add those together. Now let's simplify first. There's nothing to simplify on this side. That's 3x plus 13. But over here, I can simplify 39 plus 1. 39 plus 1 is 40. And now, since each side is simplified, okay, we have to get all the x's together on one side. We can choose to either get minus 3x from each side or 2x. I'm going to do 2x because if you subtract the smaller one, then you stay positive. If I have 3x's and I take away 2x's, I'm left with 1x plus 13 equals 40 because 2x minus 2x is 0. Now I'm solving for x, so I have to get rid of the 13, so I'm going to subtract 13 from each side. Okay, I'm left with x equals 27. No coefficient of x besides 1, and that's what we want, so x equals 27. Now let's make sure we're solving for the right angle. JLK. This is the angle I want right here. So I'm going to go 2 times whatever x is, in this case 27, plus 1. 2 times 27 is 54, plus 1 is 55 degrees. Okay, so hopefully you're kind of getting the hang of it. I'll go through quickly these next ones here. I think the real thing we have to be careful of is what angle are they asking for? All right, so over here, my exterior angle of 95 is going to equal my 2 remote interior angles. The sum of those, 4x minus 8, I'm going to say plus a negative 8, plus, instead of saying 3x minus 16, I'm going to say 3x plus a negative 16. Okay, this means 95 equals, if I combine my x terms, 4x's plus 3x's is 7x's, negative 8 plus negative 16 is a negative 24. So now I'm solving for x, so I have to get rid of the 24. I'm going to add 24 to each side. And I'm going to go 95 plus 24 and get 119 equals 7 times x. We're solving for x, so to get rid of the 7, I'm going to divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1x, which we wanted. 119 divided by 7 is 17. All right, so we be able to solve for x. Now we have to solve for f, g, h. So whatever's in the middle right here, that's kind of our vertex point. So I'm going to go 3 times 17 minus 16. 3 times 17 is 51 minus 16. I'm just doing this all on my calculator, is 35 degrees. So the measure of that angle is 35 degrees. Okay, let's keep going. My exterior angle, find it because it's on the outside. Because we've extended this side of the triangle out, I know that's my exterior angle, 14x plus 3, and that has to equal the sum of my remote interior angles. 5x plus 3 to 3, plus 5x plus 2. Simplify and solve. I told you the algebra stuff was not going anywhere. 14x plus 3 equals, if I have 5x's and 5x's, that's 10x's. 33 plus 2 is 35. Now I'm going to subtract 10x from each side. That leaves me with 4x, because 14 minus 10 is 4, plus 3 equals, those 10's cancel out, 35. Now I'm going to subtract 3 from each side, and I know I'm squeezing it in, I'm sorry. I'm left with 4x equals, because that cancels, 32. Divide both sides by 4. What looks like a 4? 32 divided by 4 is 8, so x equals 8. B, Z, Y. They want this angle right here. So that's 14 times whatever x is. 14 times 8. Again, struggling with writing my 4's. 14 times 8 plus 3. Grab a calculator, type in 14 times 8 plus 3, just as it's written there, and we come up with 115 degrees. One more, okay? Our exterior angle of 32x plus 1, because it's on the outside of our triangle, sorry, negative 32x plus 1, has to equal the sum of our 2 remote interior angles. Okay, the ones on the inside that aren't touching the exterior angle. So it's negative 10x plus 17 plus negative 17x, instead of saying minus 1, I'm going to say plus a negative 1. Phew, let's simplify this all up here. That side is simplified. Negative 10x's and a negative 27x's, I'm sorry, negative 17x's is a negative 27x's. 17 and a negative 1, if we add those together, we get 16. So now I am going to add 27x to each side. Again, you could have added 32x. Negative 32 plus 27 is going to be a negative 5x plus 1 equals 16. Now I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. Again, sorry, I'm squeezing in here. I'm left with negative 5x. These ones cancel. 16 minus 1 or plus a negative 1 is 15. Then I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 5 because my coefficient is negative. 15 divided by a negative 5 is a negative 3. It's okay that your x value is negative. Not okay if your angle is negative, though. So let's see what happens. We need to find the measure of ERP, this one right here. ERP. So that's going to be negative 32 times negative 3 plus 1. Negative times a negative is going to be positive, so 32 times 3 is 96. 96 plus 1 is 97 degrees. Whew. Okay, so hopefully you can see that once we know we can identify the exterior angle and the remote interior angles, we know they have to be equal to each other. The rest, figuring out what x's and the angles are, and just involves some algebra and solving equations, which you should know how to do.